Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's check out Silence the House running on Nintendo Switch. Okay, what we got going on? Normal stuff. Like the music. Very intense. Is the game gonna be this intense? My goodness. True miracle is to see your own sins. Anthony the Great. It's been a while since we left New Lake Road. How close are we? I have never been to this place before, so I'm not sure how long it should take us to reach our destination. Last time I was carried away to an old inoperative factory on the outskirts of town. Before that I was wandering around the plantation to the villa. Once there was even an asylum in the heathlands. I think the factory was my favorite. Maybe I should visit it again. We traveled along the narrow gray path that was buried under the leaves. It was not the wind, but some other force that brought them here. This scene was as fake as a smile on Grace's face. The leaves were arranged in such a way so that they would not cross the edges of the narrow path, obediently sparkling in the beams of our flashlights. It reminded me of a twisted version of an old German fairy tale, Hansel and Gretel, and in this version, the naive children rush right into the jaws of an unspeakable creature. Lloyd put his foot on one of the leaves, which was found over the edge of the path, and the silence was broken by his hoarse voice. Man, it's been an hour since we entered this freaking forest. Hang on, guys. We're almost there. I heard that before, Grace. And this is what, the third time? I don't think there's a need to go any farther, guys. This forest itself gives me the creeps. Maybe we should just stay here for the night. I agree with that. Kate, what do you say if we have sex in front of this pretty little stump? If this hooked snag on it were a real noose, I bet he would stick it under your sexy topic right into your islands of pleasure. What makes you think I'll let you do anything with my body, you piece of shit? Can somebody please remind me? It's weird that the characters don't change. It's just the names that change. Like they couldn't even fade in and fade out the characters that are talking. Can somebody please remind me why I'm still going out with such a pervert? If you had enough of this shit, you should hang out with me, babe. Nope. And what about you, Grace? Nah. If you think you're some kind of Superman who's not afraid to accompany me into this spooky abandoned house, do not fool yourself. Your so-called chivalrous act is just a trick to get me into bed. You need to try harder to get my juicy butt. So I have a chance? Sweet, what made you so friendly today? It's my birthday, after all, and we're going to have a party. What do you have for brains, shit? What is this script? Oh my god. It's a very special day. It's special indeed. There's another character? Oh god. Today, Grace holds the stage, but her acting is still not good enough for an Oscar. It is bad, but everyone seems to fall for her optimism. Oh, I almost forgot you were with us. Yeah, come on, I have plans for you. Oh, so you're into girls? What a twist. Looks like you are dead in the water now, Lloyd. You are surely a cutie, Ashley, in this panda hood, but it's still not enough for a girl to win my heart yet again. The end of her phrase was said very quietly, but I heard it. I smiled wryly. Looks like all of us have a skeleton in the closet, but what if the closet is the size of a house? The silly idea came to my mind when I saw this colossal house. I felt like something was coming. The house seemed to be flickering in the crossroads of reality and imagination, in the land of a future unseen. Its secrets were hidden in darkness, just like the forest. The weak yellow lights were jumping from one tree to another, running along the path and flickering in the light. I knew that we would soon approach the house, but maybe it's not too late to turn back and forget about all of this shit. God, it feels like there's like two completely different writers writing stuff, and maybe even three. Like some lines are kind of written really well, and then other lines are just like written by someone significantly younger and not as eloquent. Maybe, just maybe, I've had enough of this. So I asked myself, do you wish to save them, Ashley? Sure. Yeah, I guess so. Honestly, I don't like the idea. Maybe we should just go to the amusement park that opened this week. We can go there right now. It's only 8 p.m. and it's a birthday party after all, not a funeral. It's whatever you decide, Grace. But I think we can even take your little brother with us, but we should go to the highway and call Ella first to make sure that she doesn't drive to the empty house. Well, how many other characters are there? What? I really miss him. Can he really go? Tears welled up in her eyes. Everyone gazed at Grace, as if asking, what the hell's going on here? Of course they were asking. They didn't know that her brother had been kidnapped by me to make Grace get us all to here. However, I've changed my mind. I'm sick and tired of being controlled. Being a pawn does not suit me. But, is there another character? But I love the idea about the house. I bet it'd be cool to stay there for a night. Don't you agree, guys? Who wants to go to the amusement park? Everyone but Martin rose their hands. You saved everyone. Well, almost everyone. There was an accident in the park. Grace fell from great height and crashed to death. Martin was taken away by the ambulance. For some reason he kept shouting, it must have been me. She's mine, mine. Did he really love her so much that he was ready to die instead of her? But is that so? You decide. What the hell is it? Really? Really? Okay. Well. Okay, so I guess we don't want to save them. Is that right? They aren't worth a chance. I must stick to the plan. The forest, like a hungry beast, with trees for teeth, devoured us in cold, dead night. Their branches look like crooked hands. They struggled to rip our faces off, or maybe we just couldn't realize their true intentions. Maybe the trees were torturing themselves, wickedly twisting their branches to set a warning for us that in the end of the path, which was flickering in the beams of our flashlights, the darkness was waiting. Okay, this must be not native English speakers making this game. Lloyd looked really nervous. He was haunted by the rustles, and it made him mad. His hand was clutching a flashlight, was swinging it like some kind of pendulum with a glowing demonic eye. As the flashlight was only uncovering things lurking in the darkness, and that it couldn't immediately burn his phantom enemies alive, it scared him even more. I heard a strange sound, and I raised my head to see that it was just a crow. The beam of light ran through the black feathers, and the crow merged with the night. Am I the only one who actually knows what the darkness is hiding? But I'm still scared. My fears are not simple. It is not what you feel when your reflection refuses to obey. The illusions in the bathroom mirror can't scare the shit out of me. It is just not enough. What really scares me is that the plan could fail. When you follow the untrodden path, you are always on thin ice. I feel like I am lost in a boundless ocean, searching for a shark to ask if the human flesh is delicious. Do you really want to talk to a shark, Ashley? I wonder whether or not I'm still sane. Not by the way you're talking, you're insane. The weak beam of light was sliding along the path, full of faded leaves. Then suddenly something on the ground caught my eye. Shit, what the heck? It was a dead crow. Maybe the one I had seen earlier. Nobody knows. Its eyes were sparkling in the beam of light. It was staring at me, and that gave me the creeps. It's just a dead bird. I've seen much worse in horror movies. Do you often see dead crows in horror movies? Pretty often, yeah. Why do you ask? We've recently watched a movie. In the beginning, the dudes ran into dead crows in the forest, just before the massacre began. I saw this bird of death, only after my live stream was over. It reminded me of those days that I was imprisoned in a mental hospital. The walls of my ward were my only friends. Sometimes I really wanted to discuss the weather outside with them. Of course, the staff didn't neglect their everyday duties, and the doctors regularly visited me to ask only one question. How are you doing today? Hold on. This text actually is kind of small. Of course, the staff didn't neglect their everyday duties. Yeah, okay, great. Actually, a tape recorder in repeating mode asking, how are you, would be just the same. Just like the tape, the therapist wouldn't even change the words or say anything else. Perhaps he already knew how I was and he didn't care. Anyhow, every time he asked me, my answer was the same. Silence. I only showed the same article torn from the newspaper about my family burnt alive in a car accident. That crow reminded me of the very first ink blot in the Rorschach test, so the train of memories suddenly started to chase me along the rusty rails imaginarily built under my feet. I knew the exact spot where the rust corroded them and the train got off the track. People in it started screaming in panic and hitting their heads against the walls. Insanity. Yeah, the script is insanity. That's why I chose to focus on our way. I was afraid to lose the path because it was like a thin tightrope that was saving me from falling into the void where evil spirits were crying my name. You need to calm down, to pull yourself together, Ashley. You have to be ready when the game begins. Seems like I buried my head into sand too deeply, but fortunately, a rough male voice dug me out. Stop moving around. I've already got goosebumps and we're not in the house yet. What are you afraid of, Powerhouse? I'm pretty sure you're the fastest among us all, and even if we run into a serial killer in the freaking house, you'll be able to run away. Right, the killer would carve my enormous body, and I've put on a couple of kilos this week. I won't even glance at the cake. Everyone laughed, but Martin started to comfort his girlfriend by telling her that she had a nice figure. I grinned. She really was a slim girl and just wanted to be in the spotlight, as always. But today, nothing will save her. I looked forward. Unexpectedly, I found myself ahead of everybody and didn't even remember how I left them behind. It was as usual as summer rain and as sudden as snow in the beginning of July. I had to be the first. I need to see it first. Mysterious forces were guiding me to that place. I was just a fish caught on the hook of curiosity pulling me to the fisherman. Every new location had its own atmosphere. When I was wandering along the halls of an inoperative factory, I felt like I was trapped in the black hole of sorrow. The wet windows of the abandoned hospital were crying with raindrops of various shapes, which constantly changed and drew enormous pictures as if invented by inflamed imagination. Eventually I saw it. I guess it was a fateful moment, so I wanted to have a proper look at it. At first I saw contours behind the dense pine needles. It was like a shadow, but then some significant parts of the building started to make out. We were quite far away from it, but I noticed that, just for a moment, the lights on the first floor turned on, and then one more time, just like the lighthouse. Is it the house or my imagination? If I saw or heard something odd, I would think I was crazy. And it would be more casual than any other things going on in my life. I can't decide whether the house is a friend or an enemy. Of course, its purpose is clear to me, as it always was, regardless to location or building. But despite its purpose, maybe this house decides for itself. I can't explain why, but somehow it is alive. All the places were. They became alive for me, because things just couldn't be so simple when someone like me is involved. Anyway, if I stick to the plan, this house will play nice. Or not? Maybe it may be as treacherous as the devil, hiding the delicious candles inside the hungry jaws of doom. The house gazed at me with its lightless windows. They were dark, like the eyelids of the blind, but I knew that it watched me very carefully. Out of the blue, a hoarse voice broke down the strange connection between us. Now I knew that I wasn't the only one who was looking at the house, which meant that it saw us all. Wow, this damn thing is huge. Not bad, Grace. How'd you find it? Don't fool yourself. You might think it was hard to discover such a place, but the house stands right in the glade. I bet some naughty local children run around the house pretending to be ghost hunters or something. Cut the crap, will you? What's wrong? Everybody knows ghost stories are for children. Am I right, guys? No one said a word. We continued approaching the house in dead silence. I was so deep in my thoughts that I jumped when I suddenly heard the metal clip hit the wooden planks. And then I found myself standing in front of the entry door. Freedom, finally! She dropped off her backpack and stretched herself out on the porch. Tired already? Maybe we should go inside first. It looks like the door is locked. I don't think the ghosts are dying to meet us. Go to hell, moron, and meet the damn ghost yourself. You are really a pain in my ass. You are so sweet, guys. Let me handle this stupid door. Hold on, big boy. Now what? I'm working on it. While these idiots were searching for the way in, I was picking the lock with my own skeleton key. I'm not sure how many doors it's already conquered. It was the same as picking tiger's teeth to see how its digestive works. Oh yeah, it's very relatable. Something moved. I couldn't see for sure, but it felt like the mouth of the door took a tight grip on the skeleton key with its metal tongue and devoured it. Seriously? I got mad and kicked the damn door. What the hell? The door was opening so slowly, with a squeaky, old-like crap sound. However, it seemed the screams of the tortured souls. I just couldn't bear it. Nice job! I approached the door. But I didn't open it. It opened itself. What's going on here? It was very dusty inside the house. Looks like the ghosts aren't very hospitable. Everyone laughed except Lloyd. He gave Kate a significant look. I think everyone knows that you don't believe in such shit. Can you please stop? What's wrong? Darkness is so scary. Am I right, big boy? Come on, I'm just teasing you. It's fun. But it's not like that. So you tell me, what can hide behind the shadow curtains? If it's not a ghost or a phantom, then what is it? It isn't my fear. It's a freaking mental disorder. The name is nyctophobia. Make sure that your flashlight's not dead or you'll be in trouble. Don't even count on mine. Everyone laughed again. There was no need in flashlights anymore. The glowing eye of the full moon illuminated the house pretty well, but when we were outside it surely was dark. It was very strange. Those freaking tricks again. Though it looks like it wasn't a big deal for anyone except me. Even though candles peeked out from literally every corner of the room. I think everyone thought it was Grace's joke or something. This place aroused my curiosity and I wanted to explore it for a little bit. There were a few pictures hanging on the wall. To be exact, some of them had fallen off and were lying on the floor like dead rats with twisted paper trails. I saw no mirrors in the room, thank God, but it was only the first floor, so I'm glad. Houses are like narrators of people's lives, made to tell stories of their owners. This one was choking on dust and death. This armchair looked really convincing. It was old and fractured, but I knew that its appearance was a lie. Even the carpet was old and shabby for every second of its existence. I was aware of those tricks, and I knew I had little time. I took the cell phone out of my pocket and looked at the display. I saw that the connection was lost and that it was already 8 p.m. The clock was ticking. Ella should turn up soon. I hoped she would find the house. At least I drew her a map. While exploring the room with the fireplace, I found boxes full of candles. I smiled wryly. We would need them later. And of course there was the book. It is most important item. I just don't know how to do it with without some extraordinary stuff. Of course I was no amateur in that kind of cuisine. You could call me the chef of the kitchen, I guess, so I knew it from A to Z. I looked at the others. They were all wearing the same smiling faces, except Lloyd. This poor idiotic creature. He wanted to blow Grace's skirt up, literally. Sadly for him, it's not going to happen, ever. The girls have already prepared their sleeping bags and spread some blankets on the floor. The scary house was slowly turning into some kind of warm, lovely nest. But I rushed to conclusions. The strings of fear caught us in its web when we saw a straw doll on the sofa. Her button eyes pierced us through as if staring at our souls. Somewhere behind the skin there was a hall full of screams which couldn't reach our mouths. The apple of her eye was black, like a rotten dead fruit, and the flickering hellfire of the candles made the scene more satanic. Lloyd nearly shit bricks when he saw this evil thing. The guy made a very strange screaming-like sound. Kate just couldn't miss the joke. She took her cell phone out of the pocket and her fingers started to dance on the phone keypad. Suddenly she began a made-up dialogue pretending there was someone on the other end of the line. Hello? Is this the mother of one wicked straw doll who I tend to know? Good. Tell your child to stay out of the light because she is too scary for our little Lloyd. Your girl scared him to death, you know. Go to hell, guys. Enough with this candy shit for one evening. Lloyd rushed to the sofa and grabbed the straw doll. Give me a hand, man. Light it up, Marty. Marty gave his lighter to Lloyd, and the idiot threw the doll in the fireplace with her hair set on fire, but the flame died immediately. The damn witch! Why don't you just perish? You are a real idiot. It's a doll, not a paper shit. You need to light the fireplace first. We can use books or newspapers. Everyone glanced at me in surprise. Well, there was always some books in a house. It's an ordinary thing. We could search for them. Whew, I almost got caught. Of course I knew the books were here. I know everything about this place. There was a playroom on the second floor, kitchen on the ground floor, and 2 bathrooms. I was connected to this house, and I could almost hear squeaking mice gnawing its beating heart behind the walls. But it was only a strange delusion living in my mind. These morons looked in every corner of the house but found nothing, so it was my turn. Here they are. Jeez, they are heavy. Lloyd approached me and took the books. Congratulations, Miss Ashley. I'm appointing you Master of Doll Inquisition now. Thanks a lot. I faked a clumsy smile that almost turned into disgust. Where are you going? It's time to punish the sinner. Maybe you can deal with this on your own. Don't be a pussy. It's a joke. You are the justice. Make the evildoer pay. He lent me a lighter. If it were not for the rules, I would beat him hard. Okay. I set fire to one of the pages and threw the book onto the pile of other books. They turned to ashes in seconds, but the doll was still in flames. I was watching her face turning black in the bright scarlet flame. Tongues of fire played with the stitches on the doll's face, and for a moment I saw her wicked smile. I heard agonized screams. In my hand there was something, a phone. On the other end of the line, tires rubbing against the ground, grinding of metal, bones cracking, front windows smashing to pieces. I feel shards of glass stuck in my neck. They pierce my chest and my heart. Maybe the explosion torn their limbs off. Maybe it was a meteor falling from the sky, or they were, buried alive by some psycho. It doesn't matter. They are dead. I can't stand it anymore. I've relived this nightmare over millions times. I relived the day when it was all gone. Without knowing it, I touched the tooth, which I was always carrying in my pocket. It was some kind of ritual, but not as useless as most of them. It was more than effective. For a moment, sorrow in my eyes changed to coldness. My fingers released the tooth and I looked at Lloyd. Satisfied? Yeah, but you're the sinner like everyone else. That's why you shouldn't be punished. I'll turn you on the minute I turn off the lights in a bedroom, sweetie. Lloyd didn't give me a chance to evade his lightning kisses. I have almost died of disgust as his tongue touched my cheek, like a maggot lurking in the corpse. His lips were as cold as a dead man's. I guess I'll pass. I'd rather confess my sins. I smiled wryly and wiped his icy touch from my skin with my sleeve. Actually, there's one thing you're right about. Everyone sins. Lloyd shrugged his shoulders and began unpacking his things. It's present giving time. The girl opened her backpack and took out a book with a colorful ribbon on it. Take it. Take it, beautiful. It's for you. Thanks, cutie. I've always wanted to read the biography of Scott Malcolm, one of the greatest guitarists. Lloyd was next. I thought that if you liked their last album, you must check out these. Grace took the CDs and hugged Lloyd. She slapped his butt hard. The keys to the house in Skidward Lane 65 tinkled like a ringing bell. That's all you get, big boy. Lloyd was a little embarrassed. I gave her earrings. They were plenty cheap. I bought them on sale. Thanks. Martin left the house. Through the window I saw him smoking. He didn't even try to take his pack of smokes out of his pocket on the way here. Maybe if he smoked near Kate, he would order him to swallow the cigarette, one by one, lit up. When Martin came back, he took a bracelet from his bag and whispered something. I bought it because it was beautiful and cheap, of course. But it has the Japanese hieroglyphs, which mean happiness and money, so maybe it'll work fine for you. Cool, nice thingy. All of a sudden, Martin put the bracelet on Grace. It cuffed her wrist with a loud click. Now it was time to eat the cake, but Ella was still on her way, so everyone felt depressed. For not eating the cake? What? Someone suggested playing cards, and everyone agreed. In fact, I didn't know who it was because my mind was focused on other kinds of issues. I had more important things to do. I approached the book that was lying on the mantelpiece and took it. No one noticed the book except me. I was out of human sight. Even I did not see it. I only felt it at first. When I opened the book, I looked at the strange symbols that didn't make any sense until I touched the tooth in my pocket. I understood. I understood everything. While consuming the symbols, I almost tore some of the pages off. Finally, thousands of letters and words formed the phrase. I am Mors Afera. Well done, Ashley. This phrase was like a good old friend to me. I lost count of how many times this phrase came up in my mind, and I still couldn't remember its true self, full of inconceivable power. If I just spoke the mysterious words without the book, nothing at all would happen. I am Mors Afera. I took my phone out of the pocket and looked in the display. It was 10 p.m. already. The time passed quickly, and the game was about to begin. Would it be a fair one? The question has always tortured me. I can't say if I'm doing the right thing or not. I always doubt. Some part of me knows the answer, but I don't know which part it is. While I was reading the book, the others continued to play cards. Both Lloyd and Martin called me to join them a couple times, but I always refused. They didn't ask why. I think they were just playing their own game with me. I finished reading the book, so it's time to take my turn. I needed to come up with something and fast to hurry things up. I can't just leave this to Grace. Even the fact that I'm allegedly holding her brother hostage doesn't mean I can fully trust her. And suddenly Luck smiled at me. I saw Lloyd cheating at cards. The trick was simple. He filled his hand with trumps. I just needed to prove it, so I just waited for the right moment. I could see things. I see. I bet you have a trump ace and jack. Stop being ridiculous. I don't believe you're a psychic or something. The rumors at school, they were all bullshit. I came right to him and looked him into the eyes. I was looking at him with a sadistic smile, like he was a bug that I was going to squash. Show us your cards. Lloyd looked pathetic. This pompous jock was trembling all over. Actually, it was pretty funny. Or was it? Suddenly I realized that my decisions and actions acted confusing me more and more. In the beginning, I was completely sure that I was absolutely right. It was like using a manual that was telling me how to win lotteries with 100% chance, but screw the shit. For me, it was as usual as breakfast in the morning. Of course, I want to return to that factory and repeat this whole thing one more time, but not as much as I wanted it a month ago. When I was almost maniacally laughing, looking at the woman who was trying not to fall, clutching the elevator cabin of the roller coaster. Just show them. Martin hit Lloyd's hands and the turnips fell on the floor. You asshole, give me my $20 back. It wasn't me, she set the whole thing up. Are you kidding me? I was miles away from you. You couldn't know. You just looked at my cards. You knew that I had 3 trumps. I wasn't cheating. Prove that you're psychic. Looks like Lloyd was going mad. Obviously, I pretended that his words hurt me. Shit, it was so hard to not gloat. He was going straight into my trap, you fool. My feelings turned into some strange mix, and it was difficult for me to understand what I actually felt. Maybe I froze for a moment, and that's why Lloyd yelled at me one more time. If I continue to lose connection to reality like this, they'll definitely think I'm crazy. Come on, Ashley, keep it together. I touched the tooth like it was giving me some strength and smiled wickedly. Prove it! It's not as easy as you think. Yeah, you're right, I could get a peek of your cards, but I didn't. What number from 1 to 1,000 am I thinking of? Jeez, it seemed like this guy really believed in my abilities, which, by the way, leave much to be desired. For now, at least. Not interesting at all. It must be something more difficult. What color is Kate's underwear? Everyone ignored this question. Summon the spirits. I heard lots of psychics can talk to them. Yeah, that'll be cool. Geez, you're like Ella, but I agree that'd be great. I guess it's not a very good idea. I'll prepare everything. It was really difficult not to laugh. They were so ridiculously naive. It was so funny to see them like this, and there was something more. The mystery of the whole thing, it inspired me in some way. Playing with fire always intrigued me. I knew something inexplicable, exciting, and terrifying at the same time was about to happen. Knowing this raised my spirits, even more so that it wasn't my fault. They themselves asked me to do it. Nobody forced them. It would probably be better to do everything wrong, to end this madness once and for all, but not today. This fool inspired me. He made me sink into a slough full of rotten memories. I felt like I'd fallen to the bottom of a huge can filled with maggots. They were crawling into my ears, and I heard them twitching inside. I heard their whisperings of death. Perhaps Lloyd will be the first. This moment of uncertainty has always turned my curiosity into a hungry beast, waiting for the meat in its bloody bowl, given to it by the hand of fate. I dusted off the old handkerchief that was lying on the floor and began placing candles on it very carefully, like a caring mother who is taking care of her precious children from kindergarten. 13 little children, short and tall, plump and thin, but all hungry. They were sleeping in my handmade cradle, which swung as I carried it to the ritual room. I called this room by that name the moment we entered the house. It was kind of sad that I couldn't explain it properly because of the pile of monsters and things that... and thoughts that followed me to the main door. It was pretty dusty in here. It is obvious that a house like this has seen the its best days, and now it was old, abandoned, and forgotten. In some corners of the hall, I could see the spider webs. Gross. I really wanted my working place to be just a bit cleaner. Before I started my preparations, I knocked on the wall and a broom fell into my hands. Suddenly, I felt very angry. Why the heck? It would be a lot easier for her to do this. I threw the broom to the wall, but it vanished before it reached the outside. The floor became much cleaner. That's how it's done. I took out a piece of chalk. This is my main tool for tonight. Of course, I didn't like crawling on the floor, but it was usually done this way. I liked using the wall in the asylum much more than the traditional way. I tried some new things back there, but unfortunately everything ended badly. At least I stayed alive. In fact, I didn't use the chalk too much. There was no tangled symbols. It was just a huge circle in the center of the room, and of course the star. It just wouldn't work without it. Well, I don't think it had any real power. I mean, you can just see it almost everywhere. On a new album of a rock band, for example, but it looks like it is worth something. The candles were next, which is my favorite part. Last time, when the drawing was on the wall, it was fascinating to put matches into the cracks, but I think it really mattered, and eventually everything was almost ruined. So I'd rather use candles this time, but first, I had to draw circles in the center of each star between thick white lines. Carefully, smoothly, and only one of them I scratched out, making a terrible sound like the chalk was some kind of claw. Finally, the picture was done. I put every candle on its exact spot, as if arranging chess pieces on the board. Pawns were first, as I call them. They embodied every person in the house, and only one piece could become the queen. No. I already was the queen, but had to fake my unimportance as to not cause any suspicion. The fattest candle was meant for Kate, as she was obsessed with her figure. Mine was slim and beautiful, of course, but I had to break it into two pieces following the rules. Then they were put in the corner of the star. Now it was time for the main players to join the game. Since I didn't know whether they were bishops, rooks, or knights, I couldn't think of the right position for them. So I just put the pieces in front of the ones that were already in the star. Every candle meant for the main player was placed carefully so the candles embodying the people in the house were their reflections, though somehow twisted, as I couldn't find one as fat and ugly as the Kate candle. Everything was done, but there was still one candle left. I knew it was significant, but I had no idea who it was meant for. When I was in the asylum, I put a significant chess piece near the wrong pawn, and we got into big trouble. I looked at Lloyd's candle. I hope my intuition was correct. That asshole. Most likely it's him. Suddenly, candles lit up the room. What the hell's going on here? No, just my imagination. It was the headlights. Lloyd came into the room and whistled. Well, well, you're totally out of your mind. You think the drawing of that freaking pentagram that's always on the cover of horror movies will do the trick? Martin entered the room next. Kate followed him. Yeah, nice room. The scary skull is the only thing missing. Wow, this is so cool. I'm flattered. The door half opened and Ella entered the house. Before she joined us, she was walking around the room where we had thrown about our backpacks. Will anybody help me bring my things from the car? Ella peeked into the room, saw the huge chalk drawing, and got excited. Wow! Ella came closer to my creation with caution, as if she was scared that the floor would break under her hard steps even though she was light as a feather. Is it what I think it is? We're going to speak with the dead. Are you in? Of course, I've always wanted to try this. That's just incredible. Looks like I'm just on time. Is everything ready? Yeah, actually, if everyone's ready, we can start right now. Maybe we should eat first? Hanging out with the dead is scary as shit, and moreover, I'm hungry. Oh, so you believe in ghosts? I don't. I just suggest eating the tasty cake that Ella brought us. Well, he's probably right. I don't want to eat it watching his corpse rot on the floor. When Martin and Lloyd brought a large cake into the house, each of us took a piece. Of course, the biggest one went to Lloyd, and I got the smallest. I was consuming it like it was he was consuming it like it was his last meal. I knew he was nervous. So nervous, it was hard not to grin. Grace tipped over someone's bag, and her piece of cake almost plopped down onto the floor. I guess if it had happened, it would have looked like a human brain, juicy with blood. Martin managed to grab the cake with his plate. Oh, you look really pale. Is everything okay? Yeah, I just feel dizzy, that's all. Okay then. Martin smiled nicely, but I guess his girlfriend didn't like it at all. What's that in your face? A grin? You asshole, you want to screw her that badly? No, sweetie, it's not what you're thinking. Yeah, this butt is mine, right baby? Grace painted Lloyd's face with the cake and went to the ritual room. This makes it hard not to chuckle. Finally, everyone took their places. Grace sat closer to Martin, with Kate on the other side of him. Lloyd sat near me. Even knowing what fun was coming next, his gaze made me feel sick, as though his eyes were taking my clothes off. Gosh, he is a pervert. I wonder, is there any limit to his blasphemy? Pierce a finger with something sharp and drip some blood on the candle. My words sounded ominous and terrifying. You kidding me? That's bullshit. Is it really necessary? I clenched my hand into a fist. It is. Okay, if nothing happens, you will spit blood for a week. Kate chuckled. Okay. I pretended to be scared, but was not sure if he bought it. However, he smiled at me unconfidently. Suddenly, I really wanted to shout out, "You will die, fools! You, and you! All of you!" But I stopped myself otherwise. They'll understand that I'm involved in this, and it'll become 1,000 times harder to do my job. Muttering some curses, Lloyd, however, pierced his finger with a needle and touched the candle. Martin was next. He touched the candle too, and the scarlet drop went down. Ella was really nervous and excited. I feared the girl could have a heart attack because of all this. Ella pierced her finger so hard that the blood spilled in different directions. When all the candles devoured the souls of the mortals, I continued commanding the army of the doomed. Martin, just like my actual assistant, was giving his lighter to others one by one to light up the candles. Why aren't all the candles lit up? I shushed at her. The last thing I wanted is her comments, and at such a critical moment. Close your eyes. But I could see that Lloyd's eyes were half open, so the dead can't take them away. Lloyd immediately closed both of his eyes. The only thing we heard was the whispering of the candle flame. I am Mors Ofera. The wind howled outside. I am Mors Ofera. Suddenly, all the lit-up candles went out, and shivering flame was devoured by the darkness. The ones that were sleeping woke up and showed extended their fire tongues. The same happened to the candles in the center. Then a mysterious female voice whispered and disappeared. Wow, so cool. Was that the dead? And what else could it be? Nothing happened. It's just a trick with a voice. And you made the candles light up when you blew them out. I saw everything. I knew that he couldn't see that. You're a liar. Don't come any closer to me. Okay, let's calm down, guys. Lloyd, who wanted to rush at me, now stopped. Seemed like he was a little afraid of Martin. Did this guy just step in between? Have I misjudged him? I heard the voice too, and I'm sure it wasn't Ashley. It was a sound from a tape recorder. I heard something. There was some noise. Is he right, Ashley? I looked down at the floor and gave the cell phone to Martin. That's right. He pressed the play button. The recording. Ofera. And then some noise, just like he had said. Her real voice. Nice performance. You almost managed to make me believe in that bullshit. The trick with candles was cool though, but I remembered the harsh flash of the flames. You didn't light up the candles one by one, you lit them all at once. Are you kidding? But you figured it all out. Yeah. We'll talk about it later. Now I need to smoke. He came up to his bag, took the pack of smokes, and went out. Through the window I saw him, staying near the car. He was blowing the cigarette smoke to the night sky. We haven't finished yet. Lloyd went on the room and I heard the chewing-like sound. This guy began greedily consuming what's left of the cake. I sneaked up behind him and quickly sat on the old chair to make it terrifyingly creak. Lloyd was choking on the cake and a piece of it dropped from his hands. He looked around. He was scared to death until he saw me. His fear immediately turned into wrath. I'm going to freaking kill you! I guess that for him, I was a player from the opposite rugby team, and he wanted to take away the ball from my hands, so he jumped at the chair that I was sitting on. Fortunately, I quickly dodged the attack. The literally ancient chair somehow stood against his massive body and didn't break. Lloyd then fell onto the floor. Martin returned to the house with a cigarette still in his mouth. Looks like something urgent. He was searching for something with his eyes. He definitely didn't come back because of the noise. However, he looked pretty calm like always. Martin took out his cigarette with his fingers, threw it on the ground, and stomped it out. He pointed to the ceiling. There! I saw something in the window on the second floor. Yay, the ghosts! With cries of joy, Ella ran up the stairs. Lloyd noticeably turned pale. Interesting. Everyone rushed after the girl with the ponytails. The shadow slid along the massive window, touching Ella's car in the yard. Its headlights were still on. The girl didn't even bother to turn them off. Seems like this mysterious story excited her so much that she forgot about such simple things. The car was standing in front of it, and it didn't care about what was going to happen within the walls of the house. I also noticed that the first floor windows were high enough to break the neck, and a couple of ribs if you fell out. We went even higher up the stairs to the second floor. There was something on the wall, a message for us. The bloody letters said, "Let's play." Oh, maybe the ghost who you saw through the window did that, Martin. Well, it takes a long time to load. Oh my goodness. Alright, why don't we stop it there? This is audap. I'm watching Silence the House running on Nintendo Switch. Yeah, well, this is a $5 title, and it definitely shows. I mean, the artwork's kind of basic. There's no animation, no voices. The script is incredibly poorly translated. I mean, I shudder to think what the original script was, if this was, like, the translation of whatever was, you know, whatever it was translated literally, because this does not make sense in any way, shape, or form so far. So if this is what your idea of entertainment is, then yeah, check it out for yourself. If you can figure anything out from what anybody says as you're reading it, you know, if you guys want to see more, I'll be certainly happy to read it for you. But yeah, none of this makes sense, and I don't imagine by the time we reach the end anything will make sense. I don't know. I guess time will tell. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.